Yo, back at it again. That's right, people. I am not dead yet. Who would have thought? But today we're going to talk about something a little different.
Riz_Rex is now live. Streaming Jurassic World Evolution 2, talking about JW Rebirth and my opinions on the franchise as a whole.
Alright, there we go. That's right. So today we're going to play Jurassic World Evolution 2. And you're also going to hear my opinions on Jurassic World Rebirth. That's right. I went to go see it. Now, I bet some of you are wondering. But Orlando, Rex, whatever you want to call me, what essentially even happened? So here's the thing. Am I gonna say Jurassic World Rebirth is the best of the franchise? No, absolutely not. Now, if we're gonna talk about the best Jurassic film, in my honest opinion, this is just my honest opinion. Don't grab the fucking pitchforks and decide. Hey, you know what? I think your opinion is dog shit. So here's what I'm gonna say. On a scale, I would say, and this is just, my opinion, that Jurassic World Rebirth is a low B in my opinion. It's not the best the franchise has to offer, but I at least think it offered more than what they did with Dominion. Honest to God, I don't think anyone really likes Dominion. The only thing I truly liked about Dominion was the design of the Giganotosaurus, which I thought was absolutely fucking cool. But then, watching it get murked by the Therizinosaurus was, kind of wild. I'll say this: the designs and the shots that they have for some of the dinosaurs in the movie, absolutely baller. The shots were done very beautifully. The atmosphere was built very well. The plot is at least interesting. Am I gonna spoil it for you guys? No, I'm not. Because that wouldn't be fair if any of you guys want to see the movie. But I like the cast. They're pretty funny. The designs of the dinosaurs are absolutely fucking stunning. Despite all the hate that that some people don't really say. Because you know what I expect. Oh, uh, something cinema nerds and critics saying, "Oh, you should do the weakest point of the franchise."
Okay, this is amazing. A baryonyx. These animals have very large claws on their first digit. This dinosaur also likes water, so take a moment to consider its needs when planning out a suitable habitat for it. The baryonyx was originally thought to be a scavenger, but now, with live animals to study, we can find out for sure.
The Spinosaurus was done absolutely fucking beautifully, considering it's at least paleo accurate for the time that we're in. Considering we don't know barely anything about the fucking Spinosaurus. In reality, the only reasons that we know about it is because of its two cousins here, the Suchomimus and the Baryonyx.
This dinosaur has a skull similar to a crocodile's, and a disposition that isn't that far off either. The Suchomimus originally fed on fish and small prey. Let's make sure it doesn't expand its diet into two-legged animals wearing collector t-shirts.
Now, if you were to tell me, oh, Orlando, can you rate each of the franchises? So, I'll do it like this. So, I'll have the grades, D, C, B, A, and S. All right. I think that's simple. Nothing too extravagant, nothing too crazy. So D tier straight away is Jurassic World Dominion. I appreciate them bringing the original cast back. You're not going to hear me complain about that. Because I think in reality that's what mostly everyone wanted. Did they deliver? They came back. Was it the greatest? No, I'm gonna give it a bucket. Dominion wasn't the greatest plot-wise. If we're gonna talk about visual effects, it's all right. Design-wise, I fucking love it. Especially considering, they brought a whole slew of new dinosaurs in that movie. You had the Pyroraptor, which was swimming. We don't talk about that. The Atrociraptors. Then you had the Giganotosaurus, the Therizinosaurus, which I think they look good. Did I think the Giga could have done a little more? More or less. But for a Jurassic Park movie, I will say they could have added more to it. You know what I mean? And there's now the next film I'm gonna put. I'm going to do a hot take. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I'm going to put that in C tier. Now, I know some of you are thinking, oh, but Fallen Kingdom was probably the worst movie in the entire franchise. So, let me say this, I think the worst movie in the franchise is probably in the Jurassic World Rebirth is probably Dominion. Then it would probably be Kingdom. Rebirth I thought was pretty good, so I'll put it second. And then Jurassic World is, that basically brought back the fucking franchise from the dead, which, was really fucking good. And they even had Steven Spielberg come back for it, thank God. So Fallen Kingdom I like, mainly because I thought the idea of, the dinosaurs going to the mainland was interesting, considering in the original novels for Jurassic Park and The Lost World, they kind of hint at the fact that, some of the dinosaurs have escaped to the mainland, which, I think it should have personally been kind of built on in Jurassic Park, preferably maybe The Lost World, considering you had the Buck and Doe along with Junior there. But that's just me personally. That's my gripe with the franchise. But back to yapping. So I like the idea of the Indoraptor, which is very very interesting. Even though it didn't really do much. I mean, it basically killed a bunch of people in the whole movie and had a weird obsession with one of the characters. With them being a clone, which isn't really expanded on in Dominion, which I kind of hate. I don't get the idea of revealing that Macy is a clone, and spoilers in case you haven't seen a movie that came out 7 years ago, which case that's kind of on you. But with the reveal of Macy being a clone in Fallen Kingdom and them not really building up on it in Dominion, kind of pissed me off a little bit, because I thought the cloning idea was interesting, and you get into like this whole moral debacle like in 2018 where you had the idea of, if I'm a clone and I'm walking free, the dinosaurs deserve to walk free as well. Which, fair enough, but, it's not really expanded on after that. It's just kind of dropped. And then the Indoraptor eggs. What happened to that? Where the fuck did they go? You had this whole clutch of eggs at the end of the movie being, carried out. And we have no idea what happened to it. It's just more or less kind of dropped, not really talked about, discussed, It's just, there's other Indoraptor eggs? Don't worry about that. That's just kind of left. But, it kind of upset me. But at the same time, it's kind of more or less what I expected to happen. Considering you had all this other stuff going on. Now, am I saying the Jurassic World iteration is bad? No. Are some of the movies that they put out kind of mid? Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying being mid is bad. There are shows and movies out there that I love that could absolutely be fucking mid to anyone else with a fucking brain. Considering, look, I'm not a film critic. I'm not in film school. I'm not a paleontologist, even though I do want to be one. I am just, at the end of the day, a shitter with an opinion, alright? I'm not no fucking Albert Einstein. I am just a normal person with my opinions on what the franchise should be. Or what I think the franchise could do. Is my opinion law? No, absolutely not. I'm not on Steven Spielberg's payroll. and I'm not a fucking paleontologist. I'm just a guy that's like, hey, that's kind of weird to drop. Why would you drop that? Now, am I saying that the entire franchise is good? And Jurassic Park 3 wasn't exactly the best. Considering, it just kind of dulled the franchise off. So Rebirth, I'm going to put in a low B, high C. Dominion, I'm going to put in D, a very low D. I don't want to put F because it kind of makes up for it by bringing back the original cast and some of the designs for some of the dinosaurs. Do I think the Giga's design is over the top? Absolutely. But do I love it as I, shut my brain off? Yes, absolutely. Especially with that 65 million year ago trailer that they put out with the fight between the Giga and the T-Rex, which was baller as hell. Don't get me wrong. That was the main reason why I wanted to go see it, because I was like, oh shit, that short film is fucking interesting. Fallen Kingdom, I'm going to put in a mid C. In my opinion, they could have done a little more with the clone storyline with Maisie into Dominion as well. But the clone debacle is already kind of weird as is, considering, that was kind of more or less dropped in the movie and never really elaborated on. Now, Jurassic World, I think, is the main reason. I'm pretty sure you people have said this before, It's the main reason why the franchise really came back from the dead. Considering they brought back some of our favorites, like the Raptors, Rexy, the T-Rex from the original Jurassic Park. And, kind of building on Hammond's vision in a way through Ms. Rani, I think. I was like, hey, I bought InGen, so I'm basically going to do whatever I want with it. Now, I'm going to say this. Making hybrids between a creature that you cannot control is, in my opinion, not the smartest thing to do, considering, what happened in the movie. Now, is the movie good? Absolutely. It fucking skyrocketed the franchise back to relevancy. Considering, after Jurassic Park 3, there was that whole 14-year gap where they didn't really put out any sort of movies or anything like that. They've put out games, of course. Jurassic World Evolution, Operation Genesis, Jurassic Park the arcade game, which, by the way, is peak. If you were a kid born in like the 2000s like I was, and you were at your local fucking Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, that was one of the games that you play with your friends. Now, do I like the designs for the 2015 iteration? Absolutely. Rexy looks as beautiful as ever with the scars from the first movie. I like the Indominus Rex design. I think the white and the name itself is really cool. The Indomitable Lizard King. Did I find its intelligence very intriguing, considering it just more or less killed for sport? I I thought it was interesting, at least considering uh, a lot of things that were built for the Indominus and its genetics were besides the Velociraptor and T-Rex, if I remember correctly, you have cuttlefish, tree frog DNA, uh, Dinosuchus DNA, Majungasaurus, Giganotosaurus, Therizinosaurus, I think. Hold on, let me Google just so I don't look. Let me Google it in case, just so I don't look like a fucking moron. Because I remember some of the stuff, basically T-Rex and Raptor. All right, here we go. So the primary dinosaurs used for the creation of the dominance were the T-Rex with a base genome, Velociraptor, Carnotaurus, Giganotosaurus, Rugops, Majungasaurus, and Therizinosaurus. And then it has, along with some modern animals, such as cuttlefish, which is why I was able to camouflage, tree dart frogs, which is how I was able to, I think it was regulate its body temperature to the point where it couldn't be seen on camera, on thermal imaging, if I remember correctly. And pit viper, which is how I was able to open its mouth so fucking wide. Now, do I find that cool? Absolutely. I find that shit horrifying and so fucking cool. Did I think some of the other stuff was cool? Oh, absolutely. Introducing the Raptor squad, especially Blue, because now, along with Rexy at the time, she's basically the face of Jurassic Park. Fun fact: I do have a Blue the Raptor plushie on my dresser right now, which is it's my money. I paid for it, but that's besides the point. Do I have any complaints for the 2015 movie? Absolutely not. I think the 2015 movie recaptured the lightning in the bottle that was the first movie. Considering they had Steven Spielberg as an executive, Guillermo del Toro, I had no problem with directing. World and Fallen Kingdom. I thought he was all right as a director. Do I like the gothic kind of thing that he went for? It's give or take. I had no problem with it personally. I thought it was different because Jurassic Park is one of those films where it's more action oriented rather than delving into the horrors that is Jurassic Park kind of, because I'm pretty sure people have like theories and ideas of what happened in Site B in 2001, where they have all the stories of Spinosaurus and all the other dinosaurs that are there. Am I saying that I would like a horror sort of style for the franchise? I certainly wouldn't mind it. Rebirth kind of did that, which was very interesting to me, at least. Rebirth, I'm going to say this. Rebirth is not a bad iteration for the Jurassic World series. Rebirth kind of recaptures that original awe of the 2015 movie, while kind of building off the idea of man-made horrors beyond my comprehension. I don't get it kind of shit. So The shots in the movie are absolutely gorgeous. The mosasaur scene attacking the boats, I absolutely love. The titanosaurs in the valley, uh, all coming together in a herd in a wide shot, I thought was absolutely beautiful. And, seeing them wake up with their mates and wrapping the smaller parts of their tail around each other. It was very sweet. You know, at the end of the day, yeah, they're man-made in a lab, but they're also animals at the end of the day, which they. Now, let me say this. The acting for Jurassic World Rebirth I'd say it's pretty good. So I'm going to get into spoilers a little bit. So if you want to see the movie, skip this. This is a live stream technically, but if this is going up on YouTube as well, skip ahead to about, I'd say, maybe 10 minutes, give or take. Because I'm going to get into details about the movie. If you don't want spoilers, skip about 10 minutes when I put my grade up for Rebirth. So, the story of Rebirth is basically this guy running a pharmaceutical company wants to get blood from three of the biggest life forms that live on this new island. So this new island, which I don't know where it would fit in the franchise, I'm pretty sure Gaming Beaver or any other Jurassic Park / World YouTuber is probably working on a video on where to put it on the timeline. I don't want to work on that timeline because, that's very convoluted because you have other media that also adds on to the story and certain things being canon and then not canon and yada yada yada. So on this new island, this is where they did work on essentially hybridizing some dinosaurs because some test audiences were tired of staring at the same thing. So they thought, you know what, fuck it. We're going to make hybrid animals and see where it goes. So that's what that lab was for. So because some dumb fuck came in with a Snickers bar and the wrapper got stuck in the door, the lab was destroyed by... Do I really want to describe this new dinosaur as the primary antagonist? It feels more like secondary, if anything. So the main antagonist of Jurassic World Rebirth, and there's not really any main antagonist, so we'll just do it like this. So you have maybe 4 different antagonists. Well, they're all minor antagonists. So you have the mosasaur in the first act. You have the mosasaur in the first act. You have the spinosaurs, the Quetzalcoatlus, and the Storage Rex. So I don't know where you'd put this in the timeline. So 17 years ago, these scientists working for Hammond, I'm assuming, before were working on dinosaurs for Jurassic Park, they implemented a hybridization program for audiences that wanted more. Those creations kind of busted out. Who would have thought? Man cannot control everything, which is practically a fucking calling card of Jurassic Park in general. So 32 years later, after everything that went down, dinosaurs living above the equator are extinct. Basically, they call it the Neo-Jurassic extinction. And dinosaurs below the equator are at least thriving. So specifically on this new island. So this big pharmaceutical guy wants to have a group of people go onto this island to secure blood samples from three of the biggest creatures. So you have the Mosasaurus of the sea, you have Titanosaurus of the land, and you have Quetzalcoatlus for the air. So the reason for this expedition specifically is for pharmaceutical purposes through illegal means, of course, and so they can get rich off the idea. So each of these animals supposedly can live for a century since their hearts are so fucking big and can pump so much blood because of how big they are. And basically the idea is, oh, we could implement their their blood into developing heart medication. People can live 20 years longer, and people won't have to worry about dying because of heart attacks or anything like that. Now, is it safe to go on a dinosaur-infested island for pharmaceutical purposes through illegal means and endangering civilians that have nothing to do with your mission? Do I really have to answer that? Do I really have to answer that? That is my question. I'm pretty sure most of you would say no. You're not a fucking idiot. Now, do I do I think the dinosaur designs are good? Yes, I do, absolutely. They caught the accuracy of the modern day Spinosaurus fairly good, actually. And the idea of them having a symbiotic relationship with the Mosasaurus was very interesting. The shots were done fairly well, and I think the idea of them making mutated dinosaurs kind of fits into the franchise, considering the Indominus Rex and Indoraptor, and some of the other hybrids that are out there in the franchise. Camp Cretaceous introduced the Scorpius Rex, Spinoceratops. Jurassic World kind of introduced Stegoceratops on a screen, which is, is it canon? I mean, kind of, depending on who you ask. Do I think the hybrids are cool? Yeah. Do I like the idea of man-made horrors beyond my belief, beyond my comprehension? Absolutely. Do I think it fits well in the franchise? It can be debated. But the director, I think it's the same guy that did Alien Romulus. He did very well when it came to the shots of the Distortus Rex. Cause holy, seeing that big ass thing on screen, not really being seen until you see like a flare on it or you see any source of light on it is, absolutely horrifying to look at. So you had the Disortus Rex, which was basically it's a T-Rex that walks on. So I'm not gonna describe it. If you really want me to, I'm pretty sure there's pictures out there of it. But in case you want me to describe it, it is basically a deformed T-Rex. Thus the name Disformus Rex. The deformed king, I guess. I'm guessing that's what it means. Or if you want to get technical, if they're gonna use, if we're gonna use the right terms, it would be the deformed lizard king. Now, this was a T-Rex about the size of like maybe a not a big building, but like maybe a 2-story house, give or take. Walked on all fours and had its little T-Rex arms and a mouth that kind of looks like it looks like a T-Rex mouth, but it's kind of like smushed in a little bit. Kind of like not like a pug. Hey, I guess kind of like a pug, but not exactly, it breathing out of its fucking nose and sounding like a damn car. Sound like a fucking struggling car in the middle of winter. Because at the end of the day, it's not like they're evil. At the end of the day, these are just animals. So Rebirth, I'm gonna put in a low B. Jurassic World, I'm going to put into a low B, high A. Now, Jurassic Park 3. Oh boy, I have thoughts. I have several thoughts on Jurassic Park 3. So, Jurassic Park 3. God. So Jurassic Park 3 went through a whole lot of shit behind the scenes. I don't know enough to really explain why. There are videos out there that talk about it fairly well, fairly comprehensive, better than me. I'm a yap, but they do a lot more research than I do. I'm pretty sure there are people out there that talk about it and know about it, especially. So, do I think Jurassic Park 3 is a good... Well, Jurassic Park 3 is certainly a movie. Is it my favorite? No, I'll be honest. It's not. Did it start single-handedly the craziest debate of all time between who would win, a Spinosaurus or a T-Rex? Absolutely. Do I think the plot itself makes no sense? Yeah, I do think it makes no sense. Like, why would you go paragliding near an island where dinosaurs are? Let alone fucking pteranodons. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So design-wise, they're accurate for the time, at least. I will say that. Do I really think a Spinosaurus could break the neck of a T-Rex? No. No, I do not. Do I think the debate itself is fairly stupid? Yeah. Look, You know, whether you think a T-Rex could win or a Spinosaurus could win, you know, Spinosaurus is technically the biggest uh, terrestrial predator, land predator specifically. Because I know someone's gonna correct me saying, "Oh, yeah, 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 biggest predator does not always mean lengthwise." So Spinosaurus is at least the biggest land predator that we know of. You know, lengthwise. Do I think they kind of went over the top for the time? Yeah, kind of. For the time that they put the Spinosaurus in, around 2001, the paleological idea that we had for it was essentially a baryonyx with a sail on it. Now, have there been worse iterations? Yeah, but for the time at least, you know, it's over the top action for Christ's sake. I mean, Spinosaurus was absolutely insane for the time. Basically took over, became the face of the franchise for that one movie. So, Jurassic Park 3, I'm going to put into D tier. It's a movie that I could watch it. Don't really want to watch it again though. You know, I can at least some of the other movies have replayability, and I can, you know, kind of shut my brain off and enjoy it. Jurassic Park 3, even if I do shut my brain off, I have to like kind of focus myself to kind of enjoy it. Like, yeah, I think the fight with the Spinosaurus is cool between him and the T-Rex. The boat scene was pretty good. You know, the amalgam program, which we still don't really know much about, is still a big mystery. But I'm pretty sure we're never going to get answers to those. All we can really do is just make theories about it. So I'm putting it into D tier with Dominion. A very low D. It's at least better than Dominion. I will say that. Now, The Lost World. Now that I could watch on repeat. The Lost World builds on what the first movie with Steven Spielberg did. Do I think it's one of the tops of the franchise? Oh, absolutely. The soundtrack captures it, along with, you know, the designs of the dinosaurs for the time, because I know some people debate on which of the designs are better for at least the time. You know, the Buck and Doe T-Rex were absolutely fucking stunning. The raptors, you know, they're raptors. The tall grass scene is so goddamn iconic. And you can't forget that little girl using gymnastics to kick that velociraptor through the roof and impaling it on a piece of wood, which to this day I still don't understand how the hell she did that. And I'm not going to question it, because that's absolutely fucking terrifying to think about. Because, you know, these raptors are fucking big, bro. How the hell does a little girl do a triple fucking backflip, send it flying through a wall, and then it gets impaled? You know, that's terrifying. I don't want to mess with that little girl. If I was a dinosaur, I'd be shitting myself. I would shit bricks. Now, I love the design of the Buck and Doe. You know, you have the chasing the dinosaurs on the plane scene. You know, I can see why they chose. They had so much hype behind it. So, Lost World, High B. Now, on to the grandfather of the series, the Mac Daddy, even Jurassic Park, the biggest blockbuster of 1993, winning awards. You know, everyone knows the scene: the Brachiosaurus eating the trees. Then you have Welcome to Jurassic Park. Cue the as you have the display of the paras, the trikes, you know, all of them in the field coming towards the watering hole, moving in herds. You know, it is a beautiful fucking shot, and I can see why it won awards for the summer. Steven Spielberg manages to keep the idea of what the first movie was built on alive fairly well. Does it sometimes work all the time? And it's a hit or miss. But for at least when the first movie came out, it did absolutely fantastic. You know, the characters were. I love the characters. I still quote Ian Malcolm to this day. The designs of the dinosaurs, absolutely stunning for the time. And you know, you have the iconic roar of the series with all the hype behind it. You know, the shot of the T-Rex busting out of its enclosure as it does its mighty roar, escaping the velociraptors, you know, and then the ending scene where Rexy bites into the raptors, gets her signature scars, and does her signature roar as the banner falls when dinosaurs ruled the earth 65 million years ago. You know, that scene will always be iconic. So I'm going to put Jurassic Park into S tier. Because, you know, I don't care if people say, oh, you just like, stop playing favorites. I don't care, you know. Say what you want. I'm putting Jurassic Park into S tier, whether you like it or not. Now, what do I expect from the franchise in the future? So, the future of the franchise, you know, here's what I think. I don't think there's really much else, you know, they can do with the story. Because, you know, you can only do rinse and repeat of, here's evil guy who wants to use dinosaurs for XYZ. He bad. Now, do I think they should bring back some storylines? I mean, I would like them to at least. You know, I think the clone storyline was at least, you know, something interesting to talk about. And you get into debates on if it's ethically moral to clone a human being. considering it always feels like no matter what, that's kind of what they did with the franchise when it came to Fallen Kingdom. Hello, Gideon. How are you?
How are you doing and how is streaming going?
I'm doing okay. So what I really want to see for the franchise is, I want them to kind of focus on what they left off of in Fallen Kingdom and Dominion with the clone thing. Do I think they're really gonna do it? Probably not. Would it be cool? I mean, kinda. I mean, I like the idea of them kind of building off the clone storyline that they sort of left. Because the idea itself is, fairly interesting, especially with the moral debate on, hey, is it wrong to it's like it brings the idea of, is it kind of wrong to play God in a way, considering this is kind of like what the whole franchise is. But in this point specifically, it's about, human cloning. Because Macy is a clone of Lockwood's granddaughter. I would like them to tackle a little more on that idea, along with, expanding the story of, Owen, Claire, Blue, Beta. Do I think they're going to do it? No, probably not. Let's be honest. They're not really going to do anything with it. I mean, there's a couple storylines that I would like them to expand upon, especially when it comes to the hybridization ideas and the amalgam programs and all that stuff. But that probably won't even ever happen. I've seen ideas, I've seen stories, theories. Uh, some are interesting, some they have poor fan fiction quality to it. But that's just my opinion personally. I'm not sending hate to anyone, calling anyone's ideas bad. But everyone has their own iteration for what a franchise should kind of go towards or kind of push towards. I just think personally, uh, the direction I want them to kind of go into personally is focusing on the hybrid ideas and kind of focusing on like the more horrors or horror aspect of the franchise in general, because I felt like they kind of missed out on it for at least Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3. Because yeah, these are animals, but what is it? These are animals that could kind of fucking kill you. You know. But for where they left off of on Rebirth for the new Jurassic World movie, I'm happy with it. Yeah, a few people died here and there, but where they left off with the movie and where it ended, I can say I had a great time. Movie theater prices. I don't want to think about that. That's more terrifying than anything else. But that is my order for the entire series of the Jurassic series. Uh, I don't want to say my opinion. My opinion is the greatest of all time because at the end of the day, it's not. My opinion is kind of stupid. My opinion is fucking retarded. So don't take what I say seriously. All right. You know, at the end of the day, I'm just going to say this: like what you like, bro. You know, if you like watching movies, if you like me, bro. So I like a lot of monster movies, especially since 2014 with the new Godzilla movie by Legendary. Now, are all the Legendary MonsterVerse movies good? They can be hit or miss sometimes. I'll say that. But across the board, they're all fairly solid. Even though critics always say, "Oh, why don't they focus more on the human characters? Why focus on big scary monster?" My brother in Christ, you came to a monster movie expecting the human characters to have more screen time than the monsters. What the fuck did you expect? Like, honest to God. But that's a whole different issue. Movie critics I don't really like. They always had like some high mighty opinion when it comes to movies. Do I think film critics are bad? No. No, absolutely not. You know, some critics they can be fairly unbiased. I'm talking about critics that have like that R slash I am very smart kind of vibe where if you say, "Oh yeah, I watch action movies," they kind of call you like a low IQ shitter. You know what I mean? It's those kind of critics I don't like. That say if you like a certain genre, you're a low IQ fucking peasant. Now, am I saying film critics are bad? No, absolutely not. But it's those kind of it's those critics that kind of put down a movie for the sake of, like their own kind of agenda, which kind of ruin the movie for everyone and the experience. Because you kind of have this idea of, hey, it'd be funny if I ruin this movie for everyone because I don't know what fun is. All I'm gonna say is, don't always trust critics. Some critics can be absolute assholes. At the end of the day, form your own opinion. Besides, what are the critics gonna say? Oh, your opinion's incorrect. Who cares, bro? Sometimes film critics are so obnoxious with the way they think. It's like, yeah, I get it. You got a film degree, but what is it? You don't have to be an asshole about it. But yeah, overall, I've had a love for Jurassic Park and generally dinosaurs since I was a kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome a Compsognathus to the park.
Now, I certainly wouldn't mind going into the Paleo. I wouldn't mind going to the field in general. I wouldn't mind studying paleontology in general. That we could actually have a deeper understanding of these magnificent creatures. But yeah, overall, I love all the movies. Some I love more than others. Sorry, Jurassic Park 3, you're kind of the odd one out. I don't really like you that much. But there's other media that's coming out and media that's out that I'm looking forward to. Primitive War just dropped the trailer today, which I am very fucking excited for. Jurassic World Evolution 3 got announced a while ago. Which, I'm going to stream, by the way. That game I'm going to fucking stream. So follow for that when that comes out. But yeah, me personally, I have some knowledge on basic paleontology and dinosaurs in general. Is it enough to qualify me to speak on it? Absolutely not. Like, I know some facts about dinosaurs here and there, but to call me a paleontologist is like calling it's kind of like calling someone who works in a deli department a chef, which is kind of a shot at myself considering I work in one, but that's besides the point. At least the Dream Park is coming together. Thank God for that. It's always felt like this. Building all this stuff here took so fucking long. Fuck, I forgot about the emergency exits, bro. Alright, so I'll build another view thing here. Yeah, the view's kind of off, but then again, at least you can see some of the dinosaurs. And there are the Sukos. There's at least the Baryonyxes.
The long, narrow skull of the Suchomimus bears a strong resemblance to our modern-day crocodiles. This African hunter's narrow jaws wield over 120 finely serrated teeth, perfect for catching fish.
Probably fit another one over here. If I place that at an angle, maybe? Yeah, that should work. Yeah, that should more or less work. That was so sweet. That was cute. I love little interactions like that. You know, while I would have liked them to add some of the Rebirth stuff to Jurassic World Evolution 2, I would actually much rather them put it into Jurassic World 3, if anything. Because I imagine maybe they'll probably put the Mutodons and all the other dinosaurs that appeared in that movie in there. And if they're gonna keep the chaos theory, which is, you know, kind of like the story mode of the game, there you are. I couldn't see you at first. But yeah, these guys appear in the films and Rebirth. But yeah, I'm excited for the third iteration of the game, you know. I'm definitely hoping that they build off, you know, the hypes of the first and second game. But, you know, this is where I'm gonna end stream for now. You know, I'm tired. Uh, I got back from the movie theaters a little while ago. You know, I'm kind of sweaty and my head kind of hurts. So I'm going to end it here for now. You know, follow if you like the content. Drop a sub if you want. This is always going up on YouTube as well. So, you know, yeah, that'll do. Follow the social medias, you know, X, uh, all that junk. And I will see you all in the next video.